everybody at Fresno State knows what a great benefactor he's been for the university. On this Wednesday, it'll be Jack Fertig to talk basketball. Now, I'm well aware, and we referenced it yesterday with Jackson, and we'll talk about it tomorrow with Jackson, that today is what used to be known way back in like 2016. Remember that long ago? As early signing day, it has become the more traditional signing day now, and we know because of social media much in advance about where people are headed to anyway. But I will reference it a bit today, but talk mainly about it with Jackson tomorrow. But if you want live updates, go Bulldogs.com, has had those updates during the day. And Jackson certainly at barkboard.com has them as well. And by the way, Jackson has that special 50% off the insider board. So if you have an opportunity, you might want to check that out as well. But we'll get back to football more directly tomorrow for Fresno State, but we will spend a little bit of time with it today. I'll get to Jack in just a moment to talk basketball. But first, our other lead dogs want to spend some time with you. That would include Lee's Air Plumbing, Heating, and Roofing. They allow me the time every day to tell you about the weather. Terrific local people. Lee's has been in the Central Valley since 1981. You see the avocado green and blue trucks all over the place. I've had them in to do work even during COVID. Very professional, very competitive pricing, and very timely. Anything you need, 825-5337, 825-LEES or leesair.com on the web. Also, they sponsor the Lee's Air Hotline. That's how Jack Fertig will arrive on air, and also how Phil not only has his guests come up, but also callers from the general public during his show. So mark it down, 559-320-1430. That is the Lee's on-air hotline. As far as the forecast goes, look, it is freezing in the Midwest, and I do mean freezing in the Midwest right now. So we shouldn't complain, but I'm going to say it's damn cold here, all right? Didn't grow up in cold, grew up out here. So you know what? Give me 102. I'm fine with it. Don't give me 52. That's cold, and the older I get, the more these bones and joints ache. So it's supposed to be 52 today. We'll see if we get there. 55 tomorrow, and then the 10-day really, 54, 58, and then we have a string of 60s coming up by Sunday with the lows in the mid-40s. That means fog, look out. And really the bottom line is, as we have talked over and over again this time of year, if the fog burns off, you're going to be in the 60s or close to it. If the fog doesn't burn off, you can end up in the low 50s and sometimes the high 40s for a high. No rain in the forecast at the moment. That is not great news because this time of year you'd like to make sure the reservoirs are all full so that when we get to the inevitability of spring and the need for irrigation water and for water around yards and whatever that it's there, we'll see what happens. But right now it is just about time for official winter, though in this town now winter disappears by February. So we'll see how it plays out. But thanks, everybody at Lee's, for allowing us the time. Again, leesair.com, 825-5337, 825-LEES. Anything you need, central air, plumbing, heating, or roofing. Other reminders. One comes from the local operators at KFC in Fresno, Clovis, Selma, and Kerman. I want to thank them every day for their sponsorship, not only at Fresno State, but across the valley, benefiting sport across the entirety of the Central Valley. They remind you to give whenever you possibly can to your favorite sports, and we appreciate that. And right now, they are still in the midst of the throwback to the late 90s where they have the classic honey barbecue flavor on everything. That would mean the chicken sandwiches, which are $3.99, tenders, and, of course, the crispy golden pieces you know and love, 2, 3, 4, even 6-piece meals on sale right now at KFC. Also, the long-running specials, the Tuesday $10 8-piece bucket still in place. On Wednesdays like today, $5.99 for the country fried steak. And also they have a feature right now with their outstanding KFC chicken pot pies for $4.99. So a lot of good deals at the local KFCs in Fresno, Clovis, Selma, and Kerman. So stop on in and use that opportunity to get the classic honey barbecue flavor on everything there. And tell them thanks for supporting athletics throughout this great valley of ours. And then finally, our good friend Joe Cruz, Superior Pipe and Stainless Supply, allows us the time every day to tell you how to specifically donate to Fresno State, something that Joe has done for over 3 decades, celebrating the 25th anniversary of his fine business. Superior Pipe and Stainless Supply over at 4529 North Marty Avenue in town, Suite 103. You can give them a call at 266-7473, which is 266-PIPE, or go on the web for more information at superiorpipeusa.com. Or Gabe, who works for Joe, has a direct email, gabe.sbs@gmail.com. Talk about it every day. Pipe fittings, valves, sanitary fittings, food-grade chemical hoses, suction hoses. It's all there under one roof. Terrific components. If you're someone who's working around a valve from an industrial standpoint in any sense, if you're a tanker delivery person, if you're working around a boiler, if you're at a plant, if you're a maintenance person, anybody who relies upon a valve for their productivity, if that valve goes down, your business can come crashing down with it, and your bottom line, accordingly, also takes a major hit. What Joe can do for you, if you're having a minor problem, call him up, stop by and see him. He'll address it right away and keep you up and running very smoothly. If for some reason it's become a major issue already and you have hit the big bottom line trouble, he'll get you back up and running full speed from ground zero as quickly as possible. Same-day service, same-day estimates, family-friendly business. Joe is a longtime booster at Fresno State, native son of the Valley, and someone who will do whatever he can to keep your business up and running very smoothly, but also would ask if you have a few minutes afterward, spend some time with him talking about what you can do to donate to his beloved Fresno State. Right now, the best avenue is go to the main website at gobulldogs.com. There are two critical links up top. One, donate. The other one, NIL. We already know about NIL. We talk about it every day. The donate links that are there, if you click on that, you'll go right to the BDF. Bulldog Foundation is celebrating its 75th anniversary right now. You also have under that header Club Red, which is very important for former athletes. You have other ways to give across those headers, and you hit BDF, that link, and you will see Myers Champion Circle is there. You'll also see that you've got giving societies like the Green V Society there. In addition to that, under ways to give, you've got the very important Valley Co-op, and you have the sports clubs where your money goes directly to a given sport. For instance, Quarterback Club for football, Timeout Club for men's basketball. Jack Fertig with me in just a moment for our usual Wednesday basketball visit. Jack on the board of directors at the Timeout Club. They'd love to have more members. He said it doesn't cost that much, and he'll give you all the information you need. Call him directly on his cell, 559-287-3305, or hit him up on his email, fertigjack@aol.com for more info. Also, other sports have their links there. For instance, Dugout Club for baseball, other men's and women's sports as well, under ways to give. There's also a link there where it just has the word more, and click on it, and you guessed it, more information for tickets and parking and other events on campus. And then as we talked about NIL, as of July, under the aegis of Fresno State, very important. If you have any sponsorship idea, any idea commercial-wise, any donation, big or small, contact the university. Click on that link at gobulldogs.com. And they'll get you to the right place, and you can specify your money directly to a sport or to a particular athlete. Anyway, thanks to Joe Cruz, Superior Pipe and Stainless Supply, allowing us the time to tell you how to donate to Fresno State. Thanks to Lee's Air Plumbing, Heating, and Roofing, to the local operators at KFC in Fresno, Clovis, Selma, and Kerman, and thanks to Ed Dunkel and his outstanding business, Precision Civil Engineering, a little later. We'll tell you about the schedules and tell you about the great fundraising Ed does for his alma mater and for the Lyles College of Engineering on campus at Fresno State. All that having been said, on a Wednesday, sound the trumpets. It is Jack Fertig to talk basketball. Jack, how you doing? Jorge, I don't hear Jack at the moment.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I hear Jack say, uh-oh. Jack, you there?
I cannot hear. If you can't hear me, my wife wants to know how you did that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where does my wife sign up for that? Right? I thought we were gonna have another Larry King moment. Hello, Toronto, you're on with Larry King. And it was always great because, as you know, Larry had the greatest gig in the world, right? That was, he said, I don't like to do any preparation for my guests. That way it keeps it fresh. That's why he had Sharon Tate's sister on one time and said, when she said she had talked to Roman Polanski, and he said, so how did it feel to talk to the guy that killed your sister? And she said, Larry, no, he was living with her and was overseas when the Manson family. Oh, that's what I meant. You never, I had mentioned this with Larry King. Late in life, he was just a bag of bones held up by a shirt and suspenders, and I still laugh, Jack, at it 2 or 3 in the morning, which is, for me is the shank of the evening, that there is the Larry King prostate report, an infomercial, but the menus on DirecTV are not wide enough to get that on completely. So all it says is, under the menu, Larry King's prostate. Now, that would be one hell of a show, would it not?
I don't know. Larry, better than Larry King's alimony payments.
Well, yeah, there were eight of those. Letterman one time, we tried to talk to him, showed the route that Larry King took around the studios at NBC to avoid talking to Letterman about his 8 wives. So, unbelievable. Well, may he rest in peace or in pieces, depending upon how it worked out for Larry King. He was rich when he left, I know that. All right. Jack, I got to start with this. To mention this up front. As far back as 2016, which is not that long ago, particularly for you and I, seems just like yesterday, I remember when Teddy came aboard for his first go-around as head coach, and obviously we knew the legendary status Jeff had here. I covered him as a player, been a friend for a long time, and he naturally was an assistant coach, the OC for Pat. We did a show 30 years ago, for goodness sake. I had asked him about the brave new world of the early signing day, the December signing day, because as you know, traditionally, it had been the first Wednesday in February. And if you remember those days where people would huddle around the fax machine, for goodness sake, and wait for the faxes to come in. And I remember talking to Teddy about early signing day, and he goes, well, this is a new thing, and we're just going to have to adapt to it. That became the norm. Then transfer portal became the norm. Now, Jack, when we talk about recruiting, because of social media, so many of the kids have already gone to social media to tell you where they're headed. It has really changed the dynamic entirely, hasn't it, on our anticipation, not only about the first week in February, which isn't as important anymore, but even now. It's great to look at the class, but most of the guys kind of let us know they're coming anyway, right?
Yeah, and most guys want to be their own PR agent.
Yep.
But, and it's just, it's like you said, it's just new. You got to adapt to it because it's, I guess, the new norm.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that in regard to every sport at Fresno State or any mid-major or group of 5 or group of 6 or whatever, non-power, whatever we want to refer to their conferences as. The fact that Matt Entz has said, and he has referenced Teddy and Pat Hill prior to his arrival here, of course, about wanting to be developmental. Jack, I have gone round and round with Jackson about this and Paul and others on air. Can you be truly developmental anymore when checkbook recruiting has become something that, as you and I have talked, used to be discussed in the back of a restaurant under a smoke-filled umbrella, right, where guys were whispering. Now it's just blatantly open because it's legal. Can you be a developer of talent and keep it, or are you a glorified farm system for the moneyed aristocracy schools?
Yeah, I think the latter. I don't think you can develop guys. I mean, you can develop guys. You can get them a lot better.
Well, yeah, no, you can you develop them and keep them is the question, yeah.
No, I don't think you can. I mean, look at somebody as low on the totem pole as a guy like Pierre Geneste, who really came in as, Dave Severance worked with him when Justin Hudson was here, or he worked with the big guys, and every time he would come in, he would be hurt. And he would say, Pierre, when are you going to start working with us? Well, 2 weeks. And so Dave started calling him 2 weeks because it was always 2 weeks that he was going to, he never did get to work with them. Well, Vance, he didn't play much when Hart was here. Vance had him last year, one game in particular early in the season. Vance credited him for winning the game. I think University of San Diego it might have been. And he really liked him. And yet, he ends up going to Bakersfield and really played a key role in their game that they beat us on Sunday. Had 2 or 3 blocks. He had some rebounds. scored. I know he scored on a fast break dunk, and looked like a guy who was much better than he was last year. And last year he was much better than he was the year before. Now, if you can't keep a guy like Pierre Geneste, I mean, it's not like Vance turned him into a superstar. You know, can you imagine, what guys are going to get if they? I mean, look at the guys that he had. He had Brian Ammunique. They were going to redshirt. He ends up getting $250,000 to go to Wichita State. Vance liked him. He couldn't keep him. Didn't have enough money, or didn't think he was worth that much. And that's the other thing. The same as the kid who went to Nevada, got $390,000. Vance just said, he shot 17% from three. It's about a 55% free throw shooter. Price, Elijah Price. He said, I really loved him. He's a great culture guy. I really wanted him. I just didn't think he was worth $390,000. So you're developing guys. Those are three examples, and not to mention Crawford, who also had that great game up at Utah State. And as soon as you have a great game like that, you now have video that you can send to other people, or your people can send to other people, because now everybody has people. I don't know where these people came from, but they would never. I guess they were around before too, but they were more like agent types. Now these people are sending out video nationwide to schools, and when you have a great game, when you score 26, I think Crawford had against Utah State. People say, "Hey, you know what? This is what we need. We got a guy who can score. Yeah, let's give him whatever it was, $250,000. That's $250,000. To a kid who's 22 or 20, whatever it is. That's it's like Vance said. You can't really expect a kid to say, you know what? I really love the coach, so I'm going to turn down $1 million or $500,000. He even Vance said, as good a relationship as I can have with guys, and he had a great one, I guess, with Price. Money talks, just like you said. Checkbook diplomacy for those of us who still use checkbooks.
Well, and the other thing, Jack, as we've talked over and over again, it's not to vilify the players. The vast majority of student athletes are not going to play for pay at the next level. You and I have talked about this in regard to basketball. There are guys, if anybody ever has a chance in the summertime to go to Vegas during Summer League, now, because it used to be Summer League for the NBA was spread out. You had, some up in Sacramento, some in Utah, some in Orlando. Right. Since it's become centrally located in Vegas, which is a smart place to go with that because a lot of the executives like being there, when you got all 30 teams there, and you have guys essentially, as you know, Jack, playing, they are walking, running, jump shooting resumes. That's what they are, right, for players. That you look at the talent of some of these guys, and it is otherworldly. And they are guys that are not just good players from college, but stars from college. Guys that were on national championship teams or made runs in the NC2A. And they cannot even find a G League roster spot. There are so few, and as we've talked, particularly because now, as is the case in the National Hockey League, all the great foreign players are in the NBA. So now that takes up those roster spots. So how in the world can you vilify anybody, Jack, for picking up what could be, as Matt Norville and I were talking, generational money, a $500,000 paycheck for a year that you can use maybe for a postgraduate degree you weren't going to be able to afford, or for somebody else in your family, or whatever it might be to start a business. Jack, you can't tell somebody, stick around because it's your hometown. Remember Jose Bautista's line with the Blue Jays? No hometown discount this time. You can't do anything about it. And as a coach, as I've said to you before, you got to almost tell them, listen, if it's in your best interest to go, as much as I want you to stay, and I'm convinced it might be better for your basketball playing career to stay here, I can't tell you this money is going to be available anywhere else, right?
Well, it's not just the guys who aren't going to play. I mean, you got that kid, A.J. Dibansa, who's probably going to be the number one pick in the draft, who's at BYU. He's going to be number one pick in the draft. He's going to be making so much money. But he got $7 million to go to BYU, to probably go to school there for a semester and a half. Because, once the season's over, I don't think he's going to be going to class anymore. So it's not just the guys who are not going to be able to get into the NBA. The guys who are going to be able to get into the NBA are still moving. You had a big guy from Michigan who transferred to Kansas. I mean, he was going to be a top pick. It's just money rules, and all the people who say, I can't believe these kids are doing this, if they had the same choice, come on. If somebody's offering you, you're 18 years old or 20 or 22, whatever, and somebody's offering you not life-changing money, but I mean, let's say $250,000, which isn't that much money. I mean, I don't know if Elijah Price is going to be able to turn the program around at Nevada. I don't see where they're picked to be number one in the conference, and he's getting $390,000. So it's not like they're just paying the AJs at BYU big time money. That's big time money for a guy who's 19 or 20. If you had the same choice, it's hard. It's easy to say, it's easy to spend other people's money, and it's easy to make moral choices for other people. But that's just what's going to happen, and that's what's happening now. I know Congressman Chip Roy is just blasted this new score. Talks about it's about NIL. It's an acronym for that he said basically college football has become NFL light. And
he's in Texas too, so keep in mind he is in football crazy. Yeah. Well,
he's from Texas.
Yeah,
he's from Texas.
Football's not a religion. Yeah. As you know, Jack, in Texas, football is not a religion. It's much more important than that. That's right. That's the law.
Yeah. It's just a little above the religion.
By the way,
you got 40,000 people going to high school football games in Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They can sell out AT&T Stadium or pretty damn close to it if they have the right matchups. There in Dallas, you never know.
Well, Friday Night Lights, right? And that's what Friday Night Lights was about.
Look, the other thing is, and we haven't talked about it on air, and I had an email asking me if I was going to have my good friend Lane Kiffin on. Okay, let me make this clear. I've known Lane since he was an undergrad at Fresno State. He has been on the air numerous times and has always been incredibly gracious to us, whether he was at USC or with the Raiders or whatever. But he is not a social friend of mine. He is someone who is deferential to this area because he is a Fresno State graduate and he genuinely likes the area. That having been said, anybody who's going to hold players to task when he can look at a $12 million a year, 7-year contract and bonuses also structured in and say with a straight face, I don't even know how much I make. I'm only worried about how much my players can make. And also, God told me to take the job. Okay, look, I cannot and will not question Lane's sincerity or veracity. Only he knows. But, Jack, I know this. If a player says that, you're going to have a fan base that he's leaving screaming to high heaven about it, right? So let the hypocrisy begin.
I was trying to get in touch with God the other day, and I couldn't get, and I realized it was because he was talking to Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, well,
come on, come on. He also said that Pete Carroll said, take a shot, take the shot. Now maybe that's he was equating Pete Carroll to God, but
I know.
He's leaving. He's leaving like he leaves everywhere. I mean, he loves the spotlight. He loves the attention. He loves everybody talking about him. But you got to give the guy credit that he's a darn good football coach. He can win. I mean, he got Ole Miss to 10-1. how many Ole Miss teams have been 10-1? You know, you go into Oxford, and it's you expect James Faulkner to walk out on campus.
Well,
when you're there.
Look, our buddy Marcus Grant, who's at NFL Network, hosted the fantasy show, and of course was on air with me for years and years, and is still a close personal friend of mine. I talk to him all the time. He said that the biography, the unauthorized biography of Lane Kiffin, should be Falling Up, the Lane Kiffin story. Okay? Because he's the only guy who every time he fails, he gets a better job. Now, this was not failing this time, but that has been his history. Get fired somewhere, and he gets a better gig after that. So, you know what? Lane is interpersonally, he is a very charming guy when he wants to be. He also is enormously self-centered, but then again, most successful people are.
No, there are a lot of people who are very charming people, but everybody has flaws, But don't come out and say God told you to go to LSU.
Yeah,
don't tell me. You said to Jimmy Sexton, who I happen to know pretty well because he was a manager of the football team at Tennessee when I was there, and he got into the agent business. Now he's super agent. As a matter of fact, he's the agent to almost every one of the SEC coaches. And when he says to Jimmy, I said to Jimmy Sexton, don't even tell me the numbers. I don't want to know the numbers. How do you think it would have been if he came back and said, okay, Jimmy, I'm going to LSU. What are the numbers? Lane, they're paying you $1 million a year.
Yeah,
you're taking an $8 million pay cut. How long do you think that he would have been his agent?
Well, even better. What if God would have told him to take the coaching gig at Fresno City College after Tony Caviglia stepped down now? And, we hope Tony C. has been a wonderful friend for a long, long time. I hope he enjoys retirement. He's one of the great people you're ever going to meet. Mentioned the same with Ron Scott, Eric Solberg, both Eric and Tony C. stepping down, and Ron did a few years ago. But what if somebody would have proffered the agenda? Hey, Lane, if God would have told you to take the gig at FCC right now for state wages, you were jumping on that one too, huh? I don't think. I will say this about Lane: he sure as hell got that purple jacket and purple suit ready to go in a big hurry. Cesar Romero would have been proud in Batman days about that purple gig that he put out for us. All right, that's enough of that. I want to ask you, Jack, here, basketball-wise, about the double-edged sword of anybody who plays up-tempo. I've talked about this many, many times. The Warriors, even during their heyday, they blew more 20-point leads than any team ever. They also came back from more 20-point deficits than any team ever. Last night, undermanned, Curry out, and he will be out for the road trip. Butler played very sparingly, then had to be pulled. Horford out. Melton not ready yet. And Kuminga just coming back from injury. The Warriors were down 20.
Draymond Green having 5 fouls. Right. Draymond Green having 5 fouls early. Yeah. And they came back from down
the best
22.
team of the league. Yeah, it gets the best team of the league, who's maybe going to threaten the 73-9, and yet you turn around in the fourth quarter, the Warriors are up 4 with the ball, and then turn around and lose by 12. It is because, as you know, it's not and this is what I wanted to ask you about. It is not the three-point shot. The Warriors don't shoot as many threes as a lot of other teams. It is about the pace of play. It is about how quickly they get the ball up the court. If you watch them, this is what Vance did at Clovis West, what he did at FCC, and what he wants to do here. Get the ball up into the forecourt, like he said in the summer, right? He doesn't want a 10-second timeline. In the NBA, of course, it's an 8-second. He said 4 seconds. 4 seconds is what he wants the ball up. Jack, that forces more possessions. That means you can come back from double-digit deficits in a hurry. You can also have big runs like they had against Pepperdine. You also can lose double-digit leads the way they did against Cal State Bakersfield. So it is the double-edged sword, and I will ask you, is this team deep enough and good enough? I mean, Stickman suddenly is out, and the team looked different. Good enough to be able to play with that pace, or is it something, as I asked Vance last year, they're going to have to back up a little bit with it?
I think, you got to play your style, and you have to realize, like you said, there are going to be more possessions, which means there are going to be more opportunities for the other team to score as well as you. and that's your style. Same thing with the three. You're going to shoot a lot of threes. That can bring you back, but you can shoot yourself out as well. That's the style, and that's how you're going to play. Whether they're deep enough, I don't think that the depth was the problem the other day. I think it was just everybody says your NBA's make or miss league. Basketball is just a make or miss game. I mean, it's a make or miss game. If you make it, you're going to do well, and if you miss, you're giving the other team a chance to get back. I think the biggest problem the other day was they just couldn't handle that one kid who just went on a scoring tear. I think he had 22 in the second half, and that's the type of thing. Somebody needed to shut that guy down, or pay more attention, or whatever, and make somebody else beat him. But between the point guard and that kid, Bakersfield just outplayed Fresno State in the second half, and I think they scored 44 points, which has to be a record. Plus the fact that their program is in such a state of flux. You had an assistant coach who was charged, I think, with human trafficking. You had the head coach who quit. You had the athletic director quit. You have an interim guy who doesn't plan on being there anymore, and they just the one guy got on a roll, and we couldn't stop him, and we couldn't score at the other end, which is, that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, the other thing is, it was exemplified. If you have a point guard and a veteran point guard who is very difficult to trap and who can make free throws, you're going to be hard to catch late. And, I'm talking with Leffler about it on Monday, and Paul's absolutely right. The stat line, an abysmal three-point shooting day for Bakersfield, yet almost perfect from the line. That normally does not happen. Usually if a team is shooting poorly from the field, they're shooting poorly from the line. They couldn't miss from the line, but something about that three-point arc, it was antithetical to how we think basketball should turn out these days. And for Fresno State, Jack, the yin and yang of the week, and I'm not saying that Pepperdine was a great basketball team, but we saw the very best of what Fresno State can do, not just shooting it, because they had more than just hybrid or being able to shoot it, but also
a lot of it was defense. A lot of it was defense.
They were getting out of transition. Yeah. And we saw how great they can look. And then just a few days later at home, we see them slogging through the mud again, basically, and trying to hang on to a lead they couldn't hang on to, and then they could not come back. And they actually got closer than they probably should have late, but they still weren't able to get the three to go down with two looks at it. So where are you at with this team right now, Jack? I said to you it's going to be a roller coaster ride without a safety bar, because there are going to be some big-time ups and some big-time downs. Is that still where we're at with this team?
I definitely say that. I thought that they had kind of turned the corner. I said last week that last year's team hoped they were going to win, and this year's team played like they thought they were going to win. I mean, and that's how they were playing, especially when they were down at halftime against Pepperdine, and they, 19-0 and 45-6 or whatever the runs were. And then just a few days later, and against or with a big crowd, relatively speaking, 3 times the size of the ones they were getting at the Save Mart Center, in an arena where it's a much tighter atmosphere for the fans. I think these guys went in and they kind of felt like, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to win this game. And then it got down to panic time, and it didn't happen. They reverted to whatever, SC Upstate or UC San Diego. It was just that's the roller coaster ride, I guess, that we're going to be on now with DJ Stickman is he out for sure, or is he just questionable? I mean, they have a whole week before the game. He had really brought a lot to them in terms of a guy who comes off the bench and increases the intensity of the game. So with him out, that's going to be a loss, and that's one of the things that they can't afford. In terms, you're talking about depth. In terms of depth, you can't afford injuries. They're not deep enough to lose guys like that.
I have heard nothing definitive about Stickman's long-term prognosis of where we're at. I did want to ask you about Saturday, however, and I want to repeat this one more time. That time slot happens to be the same time the SEC championship game is being played football-wise, which is really important now. That is not on the SEC network. That, of course, is on ABC. But it appears, according to all the guides that I have seen, the programming guides for DirecTV, what have you, that there's going to be coverage there as opposed to putting the basketball game, the Fresno State game, from Little Rock. Again, it's not in Fayetteville. They're in Little Rock with a game against Arkansas. That they're going to put it on rather than the main network, which is much more available on certain subscription packages. They're going to put it on SEC Plus, which is an extra addendum, extra charge service, streaming only in most cases. So I don't know what our availability is going to be. I'll try to find out more tomorrow. But, Jack, do you look at this game as just keep it close, or do you say that because this team at times can shoot the lights out, that they have a puncher's chance going in there? The only losses, by the way, that Arkansas has had, Duke and Michigan State. What do you say?
I mean, we're definitely overmatched talent-wise. I saw Arkansas. I've seen Arkansas a few times, and matter of fact, I think it was both games they lost that I saw them. But talent-wise, if they ISO'd each one of their guys, I think they could beat any of the matchups that we have against them. That's what you have. I mean, we talked about it before in the NIL era. They have the better players. If there's a really good player in this league, they're going to go to the SEC if they can. Didn't the point guard from New Mexico a couple of years ago went to UCLA? That's just people are going to do. People are going to jump to a power conference because they have more money. So we're going to be overmatched talent-wise. I don't think that Vance will slow it down. I mean, I don't think he's going to try to, hold the ball or anything like that with the shot clock. It's tough to do anyway. But, if you make shots, it'll be interesting to see how they play Jake Highbreeder. If they just say, we're Arkansas and we should beat these guys and we're just going to play our game, or if they're going to try to face guard them or maybe even play a junk defense like a box and one or a diamond and one, 1-3 chaser that Jimmy Valvano used to play, where they just have one guy on Jake, and because they don't think the other guys can beat him. It'll be interesting. I would say they're probably going to play their game, but they are going to pay more attention to him. Their scouting report is certainly going to have him as the best chance that Fresno State has to score. And our big guys are going to have to step up. Now, Wilson Jacks had a much better game last game than he's had before. I believe he had a double-double, 10 and 11. But the big guys he's going up against are a lot different than the guys that they've seen. So it's going to be an eye-opening experience. And just in terms of the crowd they're going to see, because Arkansas, they're not playing in Fayetteville, but the University of Arkansas is still Arkansas in Little Rock. So it's not like we're playing them in Atlanta. So they're going to have a big crowd. It's going to be wild. They're going to be great players they're playing against, and let's see what happens. But it's just one game, and the team is going to come back. What are they now? 6-3. They're either going to come back 7-3 or 6-4, no matter what happens. It's not like they're going to come back 6-7.
Right.
It's just one game, and then you got to make sure everybody's healthy for the Northridge game. And after that, you start right into the season, and you're on the road against UNLV for your first game in the conference. Answer to your question, I wouldn't expect our guys to try to play the game close to the vest, but they certainly don't want to just get blown out. They want to have a good showing and represent the Valley, as they will every time they go on the road.
Jack, we are, as usual, too quickly out of time. I appreciate it, my friend. I'll be very interested to see what your take is when we talk next week about it. I will leave you with this thought, though, and you brought it up. They used to say that John Wooden was never concerned about scouting another team. If his team played well, they would win. That was easy to say when you had most of the talent in America sitting on your bench.
That's for sure, right.
That's when you could say, you know what? I guess Walton needs some rest. Let's go to Swen Nader, who will be a number one draft choice to the National Basketball Association, even though he barely takes off his sweats. Okay, so I would purport that you're probably right, that Arkansas is going to say, you know what, we're good enough to beat Fresno State without junking it up. If Calipari decides to go boxing one or something, then Vance could say, come on, John, I came all the way out here. Let's play it like we're going to have some fun, right? So, all right. Hey, Jack, again, I know you want people to hit you up. 559-287-3305, FerdyJack@AOL.com. Hope you get more members, my friend. Always appreciate it. Talk to you next week. Take care.
Thanks, Tony. Look forward to it.
All right. Sure. All right, Jack Purdy, guys. Take a break. Come back, tell you about the schedule. Hand it off to Phil. He's got the full 3 hours for you and a ton to talk about today. You got college football and the craziness of those rankings. You have got the injustice of what's going on with UNLV and Boise State on Friday, and a very, very important Week 14 of the National Football League. I'm sure Phil will get to all of it. We'll get to the schedule after this as the Bulldog Hour continues on this Wednesday on Central Valley Sports Leader, 1430 ESPN.
Are you a business owner struggling to understand how cloud technology can help your business? Are you in need of computer and technology support for your employees? M-Cubed Technologies is your solution for fully managed IT services. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. M-Cubed will be your partner in the digital world, allowing your business to carry on worry-free. We specialize in cloud hosting, Microsoft 365 management, general IT support, and VoIP phone services. Call M-Cubed Technologies today to discuss our partnerships.
Introducing The Sidebar, a brand new open-air beer garden at Me and Ed's Coney Island Grill in River Park. Experience a new way to catch a game, hang with friends, and enjoy new appetizers, char-grilled burgers, salads, wings with over 10 house-made sauces, and of course, world-famous Me and Ed's pizza. Thirsty? Try our self-poured taps with over a dozen craft beers, wines, ciders, and craft seltzers. Plus a full bar with an impressive selection of tequilas, whiskeys, and craft cocktails. The Sidebar at Me and Ed's Coney Island Grill, now open in River Park.
When you think of California business machines, it wouldn't surprise me if you automatically thought 3-cent color copies. It's something CBM has become locally famous for. But now there's something else business owners are calling about: business phone systems. It's a beautiful thing. Copiers, printers, office phone systems, all with one simple call to California Business Machines. 559-225-5570 or online at cbmsolution.com.
Donald P. Dick Air Conditioning is proud to announce that they've been presented with the Lennox Circle of Excellence Award. This honor recognizes the top Lennox dealers for outstanding customer service performance. As a Lennox premier dealer, Mr. Cool has 3 generations of experience and every part you could ever need to handle any issue, almost always on the same day. And right now, Donald P. Dick and Lennox are offering up to $1,800 in rebates on a Lennox Ultimate Comfort System. So now's the time to achieve immediate relief and lasting performance. And with no down payment required and the savings from a new HVAC system, your monthly payments will be incredibly affordable. Call Mr. Cool today. With 3 generations of local experience, nobody knows more about heating, cooling, and solar than Donald P. Dick. For details about the $1,800 rebate on Lennox, call Mr. Cool at 559-255-1644. That's 255-1644.
I'm here at the Roger Dunn Open. Former Fresno State football coach Pat Hill is at the first tee.
Hey, it's a fairway hit.
Yeah, but that's the wrong fairway, Coach.
I need to buy a golf game.
Coach, I really think you need a Roger Dunn makeover.
When you buy a game at Roger Dunn, you can play anybody, anytime, anywhere. This is the old coach, Pat Hill. I bought this 7-iron at Roger Dunn Golf. Number 8 at Tehama, 162 yards out. Eagle, baby!
Everybody, welcome back to 252. A couple minutes ago, we still handed off to Phil outstanding Phil behind the bench for full 3 hours today. Remind you again, Phil, normally 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. At times he gets moved around because of play-by-play. On Thursdays at Fashion Furniture with our good friend Rada Vadikian. Stop by and see him. El Paso across from River Park. Great conversation at Phil's show. Good eats as well, and the best furniture anywhere. Nothing like it in all of California. And the Black Friday sales have been extended at God's Great Place Fashion Furniture. Stop by and see him on a daily basis. And on Thursday, stop in and see Phil or give Phil a call anytime. I'll give you his home phone number. They'll give Phil a call anytime during the show on the Lee's Air Hotline at 559-320-1430. Also want to remind you about our friends at KFC one more time. Great deals going on at the local KFCs in Fresno, Clovis, Selma, and Kerman. Back to the late 90s right now with classic honey barbecue flavor on everything. Talking about the chicken sandwiches with just $3.99. Tenders and, of course, those crispy golden pieces you know and love. Deals for 2, 3, 4, 6-piece buckets. Everything for you there. Everything you need with that honey barbecue sauce, which is sweet, savory, and back with us beginning in October for a limited time. Also keep in mind, on Wednesdays like today, you have the special for country fried steak at $5.99. The chicken pot pie deals are in place right now for just $4.99, and the Tuesday $10 8-piece bucket or tenders still there as well. So stop on in the local KFCs and tell them thanks for supporting athletics at Fresno State. Now, as far as the upcoming schedules for both 1430 and 790, it's brought to you by Ed Dunkel and his great business, Precision Civil Engineering, planning, land surveying, civil engineering, landscape architecture, construction management. It's all there under one roof. 449-4500 or precisioneng.net for more information. Great benefactor Ed is for the Lyles College of Engineering on campus at Fresno State. The goal of all the fundraising to unify athletics and academics to provide more funding resources to students. It's worked beautifully over the years, and a lot of those graduates from the Lyles College of Engineering go right to work for Ed at Precision Civil Engineering. As far as the schedule goes, on 1430, the Sunbird Sports Show is the only thing we have on, and that is not on this station. It is on our sister station, the Deuce 790. But things change tomorrow because the Lakers are back underway. They will be on 790 tomorrow because on 1430 it's time for Week 14 of the National Football League, and it starts with a very critical game. I think you can say the loser is odds on to not make the playoffs, and that is the Dallas-Detroit game. The winner is in much better shape. That comes from the national network, Westwood One. Also, it's on Prime Video if you want to check it out television-wise. For us over the weekend, we not only have Fresno Pacific games, both men's and women's basketball games for you on 790. We have some of the college football conference championship games from ESPN Radio, and very important NFL games over the weekend. The 49ers are on a bye. Normally the 49ers, Raiders, and Rams games are on, and then Westwood One has the Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday games. This particular situation, we have the Rams, a very important game in Arizona after the Rams may have given away home field advantage. And anybody who's a Ram fan knows that in 1985, when the Bears made their tremendous run to win the whole thing, the Rams ended up going to frigid Soldier Field instead of staying home in sunny Southern California, and they ended up with Sean Landeta trying to punt, and it was so damn windy at Soldier Field, as it's wont to do, by the way, to be windy, that Landeta actually missed the ball, kind of like the punting version of what we saw with the giant plates kicking on Monday night. So if you're the Rams, if you have given away the cozy confines of SoFi to go to Soldier Field to play an NFC title game, you're not going to be happy about it. So the Rams need to start winning again. We'll have that game for you on Sunday. And, of course, on Mondays, it's Major Wager Monday for us from Westwood One, which means that Monday night game at Granite Park, Cedar and Dakota, Me and Ed's Victory Grill. That's where you find the big screen TVs, the great giveaways. Carter and the whole gang there. Wonderful time. Stop by every Monday at 5 o'clock at Me and Ed's Victory Grill. Get some great pizza and other side dishes and watch the games on the big screen. We're looking forward to it again this week. We're down now to weeks 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. By the way, the 49ers on the bye this week. Then they have 4 games, 3 of them tough, 2 of them at home, and we'll see if they can find a way to stay in the playoff hunt. Got to have Brock Purdy healthy, but he's also got to stop forcing the ball. You talk about a guy who plays just well enough to get you beat. Sometimes I wonder about Brock, who gets just a little impatient, so we'll see what happens coming off the bye. Anyway, keep in mind, beyond the show that we have at 2 o'clock each and every weekday with the Bulldog Hour, where you can reach me, TDAD1 at ATT.net, TDAD, the number 1, at ATT.net. Paul Metters has 2 fine shows, the Sunbird Sports Show tonight on 790 from 6 to 7, all about Fresno Pacific Athletics, and also the fine long-running show on Saturday from First String Sports, that is Central Valley Sports Report, 10 a.m. to noon. Check that one out. Mention Phil 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Reach him on the Lee's Air hotline, 559-320-1430. Everything for the station, 1430ESPNFresno.com. You'll find the live links and podcasts there. The live links are up and running again for those that were looking for it last week, and the show's always on podcast, pretty close in proximity to when they end up finishing up live on air. Thanks to Jorge for that. And also keep in mind that beyond high school football, there's high school basketball and baseball to come. And, of course, for us, the Lakers, the Sharks, right through the National Football League with the 49ers, Raiders, and Rams through the Super Bowl. Then the Giants and A's are back on the NBA all the way to the NBA Finals. You get the drift by now. Everything locally, regionally, and nationally we can possibly offer for you. Anyway, thanks to Jack Burdick. Thanks to Jorge. Phil is coming up. Give him a call, 559-320-1430. I will see you with Jackson tomorrow. We will talk more about early signing day. If you want more information, go to GoBulldogs.com or go to BarkBoard.com.
Hey, guys, it's Phil Bonatti here for Behind the Bench.
Phil on KFIG Fresno.
One of the most important keys to success is teamwork. Just like the Bulldogs football team, Fresno Rack has assembled a great team of their own. An industry leader in warehouse pallet racking and industrial warehouse shelving, Fresno Rack is truly your full-service one-stop shop. In-house CAD permit department, in-house installation crews, and of course, Fresno Rack's sales team is second to none. Whether you're looking to just fine-tune your warehouse and make it more efficient, or you're building a new warehouse and need a turnkey from start to finish, Fresno Rack is here to help. Call, click, or visit Fresno Rack today.
Your home of the San Francisco 49ers, 1430 ESPN, the Valley's local sports leader, KFIG Fresno.
I'm Christine Lisi. Could Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks be headed for a breakup? Sources tell ESPN's Shams Charania, the two-time NBA MVP, and his agent are having conversations with the team about his future and whether his best fit is remaining in Milwaukee or a move elsewhere. A resolution to the talks expected in the coming weeks. Milwaukee's dropped 8 of its last 9, is 11th in the East. Past moves make it difficult for the Bucks to improve their roster to please Giannis, notes ESPN NBA analyst Chinea Gwumake.
I'm not surprised because they've exhausted all